Oh, make no mistake, I fully intend to answer you, but I'm curious what you think my answer would be. Yeah, what do you think my greatest strength is? Oh no, the powers of Apophis are not discreet enough to be used around masses of mortals. Definitely not in social situations, though there was this one time I was attacked in a back street and disarmed my attacker with my tongue. I mean that literally, by the way. I wrapped my tongue around his arm at elbow length and I pulled so hard his right hand and forearm just came right off. You should have seen the look of surprise on his face, like he couldn't believe how quickly the world he knew was shattered, how quickly one of his greatest tools was removed from him. I let him live, of course. I even called him an ambulance, because I wanted him to think of me for the rest of his days, and I like the idea that he is thinking of me still, because I know he is alive and goes in and out of mental institutions, but no, the gifts of Apophis I rarely use these nights because there is no immediate need. Our presence can be intoxicating, but especially if you use that to make mortals serve you, they will always have that excuse that you did something to them, you manipulated them, and they can find justifications for their own ignorance and weakness by saying someone else wanted to hurt them. You know, they're a blameless victim in all of this, so ultimately they learn nothing. I prefer not to use presence on them, yeah. Obfuscate, that one is very useful for becoming the embodiment of a desire or simply taking on a certain persona, but no, you're wrong. You're wrong. My greatest strength isn't one of the supernatural gifts of Set, but his experience of Duat that I have experienced to a lesser degree, and which bestows a greater insight into human desire and the hidden mechanisms of various lusts and wants, which, in all fairness, have been revealed to mortals in various ways since forever. They have been recorded since antiquity, and it's just that they rarely keep the necessary emotional distance to see objectively the forces which influence them. So tonight I will share with you my greatest secret, because you're clearly dedicated to the resurrection and the path, and I for one am very proud of the progress you've made. You've been a model pupil, and I want you to move forward having all the necessary knowledge at your disposal. So a lot of people think desire is two-dimensional. It's something that is born spontaneously between a subject and their desired object, and all desire originates in a need, such as the need for shelter, nourishment, safety, the need to reproduce, and so on. No, there is a clear distinction between need and desire, because a need is intrinsic and self-contained. It isn't tied to a particular type of object of various quality, and it doesn't have any metaphysical implications. Animals also have needs and impulses, but not desires. If I'm starving and cold, I need food. Any food, and a fire to keep me warm, right? I don't want a particular type of food, nor do I crave a particular type of wood on my fire, maybe a nice comfortable bed with pink blankets. No, I am not picky. Any food or any heat will do, because the need to survive is my own, and it is born out of a genuine physiological response to the environment. A bodily response which warns me that my survival is at stake in a very real way. My body is literally breaking down slowly, cannibalizing itself in its hunger, and I need to consume something, anything, in order to fuel and sustain it. When it comes to desire, it's completely different. Desire is not only born out of the observation of a desirable object, person, action, or state, but it is at least three-dimensional in nature, because it's usually born out of the contemplation of someone else who is already desiring, and who designates the desired object as desirable. Stay with me, listen carefully. So, desire is born out of the impulse to imitate and experience what you've seen others experience, to at least have a similar experience as someone else, if not a better one, a better experience than another person, who, in the perception of most people, has a fuller, deeper sense of being. They seem happier, they seem more fulfilled, they are admired, refined, and so on. I mentioned starvation and food, so I will stay on the food example. We've already agreed that when you're starving, any food will do. The hunger is a genuine need. It's born internally, regardless of the existence of an external example. You can be perfectly hungry all alone in a black abyss, right? But desire is born out of the observation of something external to you. Say you're at a restaurant with a friend and they're ordering a fancy squid plateau, which costs about 6 times more than that crappy pizza you're already sick of. And if your background thoughts had a voice, they'd say, I can't afford such a dish, but my friend who earns more than I do seems very enthusiastic about it. Like the simple act of eating this particular dish is so fulfilling and enjoyable to them. What am I missing? It's like they know something about this existence and the pleasure of life that I don't. They live more intensely. It's as if they are operating on a different level of awareness. Why are they so happy about eating the squid? And for example's sake, as agreed, you can't afford the squid, though the desire to also have it has infected you. And then the background process of your mind keeps silently nagging away, reminding you that you're not having the fancy squid plateau because you can't afford it. Because you don't rise to the same level as your friend, socially, economically. So now that squid, which they designated as being desirable, isn't just any object anymore. It is not just a food. It's a status symbol. That je ne sais quoi, which creates a clear distinction between you and your friend, marking them as more interesting and fulfilled than you. And the more you can't satisfy that desire to imitate your friend and see what fullness of being they possess and you don't, the more it eats away at you. That squid, which you would have never shown a particular interest for before going out with this friend, suddenly becomes something you're at least curious about, because you know if you don't have it, you're missing out on something, though you're not sure what that is exactly. So then you go out with another friend, and he's also having the same squid you can't afford. Okay, and now it's just getting worse. Your friends are craving and savoring this dish, one after another, and you haven't even tasted it yet. What's going on? Why can they all afford the squid and you can't? And that's just the catch. The more persons designate an object as being desirable, the more they fuel the desire of others. Not possessing the object of your desire now, that multiple of your acquaintances have possessed, is leaving you feeling hollow, creates feelings of inadequacy, shame, status anxiety, whatever your particular symptom might be, depending of course on the severity of your pathology and the prestige of the object itself. So now you're determined. You must have that squid. You must have that experience and understand exactly what you're missing out on. The more people want the squid, the more you do too. Again, desire is multi-dimensional, but at least 3-dimensional. Though some objects or events or even persons become so desirable, they create this magnetic whirlwind which sucks everyone in, slowly but surely. They polarize and embody the desires of an entire community or mass of people. But I digress. No one wanted the squid initially. No one cared even a little bit about the squid, but that friend of yours, he polarized the desires of everyone and designated the dish as being so desirable and prestigious and interesting, and now everyone wants the darn squid. So you're finally given the opportunity to try it, you make an effort, you get the fancy dish all for yourself, only to realize, it's good, but it's not as interesting as you thought it would be. The fullness of being and the joy of eating the squid, you know, your friend's excitement and pleasure doesn't seem to rub off on you. Maybe you didn't imitate the right person, or you didn't imitate their desire strongly enough. You didn't want the right thing. Maybe this isn't the object you wanted after all. But somewhere out there is something external to you that will make you happy, or so you believe. Now, when they reach this point, the majority of people get sucked back into the loop of imitation and desire. They find something else to be infected by and infatuated with, under the example of yet another desirer who instigates them, and it just goes on and on and on until they die. Get the expensive watch, get the fancy car, the sexy model everyone lusts after, and then you'll be happy. Very few people actually see this for what it is, a trap. Never-ending loops of a mimetic desire, which is there to keep you competing for prestige with mortals as a mortal, or keep you complacent and docile when you finally get what you desired, though that never lasts. And maybe excited, make you feel like you're involved in something interesting, you're alive, working towards something greater, you know. Just keeps you playing the eon's game of trying to obtain a higher prestige or more money or a higher social position and such, without ever becoming aware that all such victories are false. They are a lie. The game is rigged from the very start, of course, and just keeps you anchored into this loop. To be fair, imitation is the way we all learn. As Theophedians, we imitate Set. As a priest, I have studied his texts, joined his cause, and imitated his example in order to be more alike, and in order to receive his gifts. When we were mortal babes, our mothers and fathers talked to us, we observed and we imitated what we heard until we learned how to speak. We saw others walking about on two legs, so we got up on two legs and tried until we got that down too. Then we saw our parents playing games, showing affection, showing fear of certain things or circumstances. And we observed, we learned how to be playful, affectionate, afraid. And we were told what is good to imitate and what is bad. Later, we came to realize we inherited the behaviors and habits of our parents. We took on the habits and behaviors of people we admired, like donning the mask of 1,000 faces, trying on various selves and egos until until we find the one we truly like. And everything because that is how we learned initially, and subsequently because we found other mentors and models, and we too desired to see and feel what they saw and felt. They were the idols, the mentors, and fuel of our desires. For a long part of my mortal life, I wanted to make money, thinking that would solve all my problems and make me happy. I worked damn hard at it too, to do it right, to do it by the rules. And then when I got to the top, I felt so hollow, so meaningless, because it was meaningless, which is why I burnt out and sank into a long, deep depression, my own duat. Losing everything I worked so hard to acquire at that point was such a relief. Oh yes, my mentor, set to rest his ashes, used to say, "When all your wishes are granted, many of your dreams will be destroyed." And at first I was afraid of that thought. I was horrified oh no, my dreams will be destroyed and I will feel nothing, I will have nothing to live for. No, the dreams that the aeons put in our heads should be destroyed and replaced with the dreams of the only being who ever wished to see us free. Set. You see, we arrive in this world. For some it will have been their only chance at existence, the absolutely only time they will ever live. They've never done it before, and instead of being left to explore our condition freely, we're immediately told what to do and what to want, so much so that we cannot help but be contaminated by the desire of others, the desires of our communities, which manifest as traditions. The reaction is always the same. It's like when one pack animal suddenly raises its head and looks into a certain direction, and 5 others look the same way. Oh, are we safe? Is there a predator there? Are we going the right way? I mean, as long as you're not aware of this mechanism of desire which governs us all since birth, no, you're far from going the right way, even though some imitations have led to amazing things, undoubtedly. If we hadn't seen the example of flight in the aerial acrobatics of birds, we wouldn't have conceived airplanes or helicopters. We simply wouldn't have known flying is an option. But we saw it and we wanted it. Just like the abstinent addict finds their cravings amplified in the presence of those who use. Yes, it's all mimetic. The creations of the aeons are mimetic beings. I see the imitation of the desire to be alike and experience what others are experiencing in someone who tries smoking for the first time, even though they know it's a toxic, addictive habit which they shouldn't pick up, like murder, like incest. I see it in a young couple getting married and having children, which they take to church on Sunday mornings because they were told and showed by the majority that that's the natural progression of events in life, and going to church leads to salvation and so on. Community, metaphysical desire, it's all there. I see it in the diver who puts on their scuba fins in order to better imitate the creatures of the sea in their swim. Every moment of every night, I see a whirlwind of polarizing, meaningless desires in every verbal exchange, in every social media post, a veiled marketing scheme inviting you to buy this thing, buy that thing, consume, buy. Here's what I'm having, and I say it's good. If you want to have a good, fruitful life, imitate me, do as I do, and desire what I desire, because I myself am a model of desire. I have the life you want to have. But this is precisely where the aeons messed up, because they thought we wouldn't see the falsehood of this mechanism and the truth that lies beyond it. But Set did. He did, and was thrown into hell just so he wouldn't speak up, just so he wouldn't burn this whole house of cards down. Ultimately, imitation is neither good nor bad. It is simply the way of learning. And the Aeons never expected Set to crawl out of hell and give us a different example than theirs. The one that breaks all of their rules, the only desire and example worth imitating. Freedom, the only one that reveals the great big lie this entire cosmos is, and the great big lie that governs all of human societies. This idea that people have it figured out. They know what life is, and they know what they want. No one has it figured out. They don't even understand the genesis and the mechanisms of their own desires. There is no good or bad. There is just experience and lack of it. If you deny yourself experience, you will not learn and you will not grow. You will simply imitate a model that goes nowhere on a loop, which is why Set is the only true teacher and tester of virtue. And I ask you, who's truly virtuous? The one who's never had the experience they so condemn as immoral, or the one who's experienced it freely and drew their own conclusions and decided of their own free will to continue or cease that activity or behavior? If you ask most mortals if having an orgy is immoral, indecent, they will say yes, of course. And the reason they say that is because they were told that is the case. They've never really experienced it by themselves. After I've had my first 3 of many, it became quite a bit of a bore, really. But you see, in having that experience, in breaking that taboo, I fully, wholeheartedly chose and made up my own mind about how I feel about that experience. After I killed my first victim, I decided I didn't like it. I didn't see the point to that kind of destruction, so I stopped doing it. Did I make a moral choice? I don't know. I don't really care about such concepts, as you already know. But what I know now is that genuine moral choice cannot exist in the absence of free experience. And that is exactly what people aren't given, the freedom to experience. If there is such a thing as genuine virtue in the cosmos, we, the Mesu Betchet, are the only ones who took even a few steps in that direction. Everyone else is just blind, unaware. So I take it upon myself as a child of rebellion to educate them, to show them that the world that was created for them is a prison. Their divine laws are shackles. It's an endless loop of meaningless, misguided desire. How do I do that, though? How do I liberate them? But through disciplines, through supernatural gifts? No, I don't need them. I don't rely on disciplines to become an embodiment of their desires. At this point, I pretty much have everything most mortals find desirable. I'm what you would call filthy rich. I own collections of villas, cars, all over Europe. I'm powerful and gorgeous, looking sexy as hell in anything I wear. I am surrounded by gorgeous men, women, and anything in between and beyond, all of them begging to share my bed. I answer to no mortal authority, and to be honest, I need none of these things I possess. What I really want is to hasten the resurrection of Set and the liberation of the whole world from a cosmic labor camp disguised as a luxurious holiday resort. But in order to do that, I need their attention. I need to channel and polarize their desires so I can break them like breadsticks to show how meaningless it all is. I'll give them everything they want just to lick the tears of despair off their cheeks when they lose all of what I've given. I'll put them through all of the revelations like I myself was put through, like I did to you. And at this point, I don't even need the gifts of Set to do this, because I observed and learned the one thing, most important thing I was supposed to learn from the example of Set, which liberated me from the influence of the Aeons and opened my eyes fully. Yeah, that revelation is desire is born out of the contemplation of someone else who is desiring already, and who designates the object of their desire as being desirable. That's it. That is the most important thing I've learned, and my greatest source of strength. Now I know why people are attracted to or even fall in love with their friends, significant others, why they cheat, especially with those who are already taken, why taboos exert an unquantifiable curiosity to break them. Mortals. Yeah, now I know why they're all chasing status, why mimetic rivalries are so intense. They'd kill each other over and over for metaphysical things like honor, justice, or, of course, they will kill each other over physical goods that are scarce and cannot be divided. Everyone wants that one thing that everyone else can't have. And it is this same knowledge which allows me to polarize, ignite, and guide others' desires with a simple word or gesture, sometimes pretending to care about things I don't really care about, knowing fully well others will imitate me and seek to obtain that which I deem as desirable. You are here, my pupil, because I embodied all of your dark desires, and I allowed you to explore them freely, no judgment. We did that together, side by side. Every murder, every betrayal, every expensive thing, drugs, drinks, every blood orgy, until you got every single preconception, programmed thought, and every single insecurity out of your system. For a while now, you've arrived to your own conclusion that this is the only path to freedom, and that path is set. So now that you are one of us, immune to the petty imitations and limitations of mortals or kindred or even canite, you have forged a self that is genuine and operates not out of societal pressures or indoctrination, mortal dogmas being shoved down your throat right after your birth, but out of real experience and free choice. I am proud of your progress, and as is the nature of imitation and desire, you will one day surpass me, because the student always surpasses the master. See that you do. I will not be jealous. I look forward to it. Now then, I will go have a sip of jasmine. She's probably high as a kite, and I think I need something to pick me up a little bit. You join me?